So, welcome you all to this meaningful discussion on women in diplomacy. So, we'll begin the discussion today with this question. So, first of all, tell us about your journey as a diplomat and what has inspired you to take on this role.
Thank you so much. It's a real privilege and honor to be with all of you this afternoon, with my dear colleagues and friends, with Catalina, and with all of you who are accompanying us so we could share a bit of our experience. I'm Peruvian, and I'm the sixth of 7 children, actually. I have 5 brothers, 1 sister. And I was born in a sort of low-income family in my country. So I remember since I was a child, I was very aware of the responsibility of, helping my family and doing something positive for my society and my country. But of course, I wasn't sure what I was going to be or what I wanted to be. I was just very determined and very, I was passionate about learning, so I was a very good student at school. And I was very lucky that I had my second oldest brother who became my mentor and who really guided me and inspired me since I was a child, because he encouraged me, to trust in myself, isn't it? To trust in my potential. And he told me, doesn't matter really what you want to do, as long as you put your determination and effort. If you persevere, you will be able to, reach your goals. So when I was a teenager, I sort of, ran into an article about diplomacy, and that was my first time that I heard about diplomacy. And I thought, well, this is a really fascinating career, because it not just gives you the chance to represent your country, to serve your people and your country, but also gives you the chance to, open your world so much, because you will have the chance to visit other countries, learn other cultures. So I thought, well, this really sounds like a career I would like to follow. And, I don't want to extend myself because I want, my dear friends also to share their experience. But after, several challenges, because again, I was coming from a public school, it was still a very elitistic career in my country. It was not easy to get into the diplomatic academy, and I had no contacts, isn't it? But I always trusted, and again, my brother was always guiding me and, making me feel confident. I was the top in my class. I entered a private university, which was very good. And then I met someone that could help me. And I became a diplomat in, I can't believe it. It's 39 years already. In 1986, I became a diplomat. And someone who inspired me at that time was also a very, recognized Peruvian diplomat. At that time, he was the Secretary General of United Nations, Ambassador Javier Perez de Cuellar, who was Secretary General of United Nations for 2 terms, and who worked tirelessly, to promote world peace. So it was just the time I was ready to apply for the diplomatic corps, and he was really an inspiring figure to me. And I have to admit to you that I used to dream a bit on being Secretary General of the UN at some point, In the end, my path took me for the bilateral, area and not the multilateral one. But he was certainly an inspiration as well. So that is how I became,
That's truly inspiring. It came from your teenage dream, and you also have an idol as well.
Yeah.
How about you? What was your journey look like?
First of all, I'd like to say sawadee ka to all of you, and I'm very happy to be here. So my story is that my parents were both professionals. My late father was a professor of mechanical engineering, and my late mother was a doctor of medicine. So both of them worked at the University of the Philippines, and therefore myself and all of my siblings were products of the University of the Philippines from kindergarten until college. Meaning we have been scholars of the state from kindergarten until college. And so I thought it was my duty to pay back to my country, to my fellow Filipinos. So, of course, it was difficult when I was young, difficult to determine what career I would like to take. So initially, I thought I would like to be a doctor like my mom. But eventually, when it became clearer what it entails to become a doctor, then I said, no, maybe it's not for me. And then suddenly I wanted to become a lawyer. But then after some time being in law school, I said, no, maybe it's not for me. And then I came across an ad in the newspaper that said something like, this guy graduated from college, and after a few years, this afternoon, he's going to have a meeting at the UN. So that sort of became attractive to me. And so I took the exam, which is, by the way, one of the toughest state exams of the Philippines. And I was fortunate enough to pass it without really realizing what I was getting myself into. So now here I am, the ambassador of the Philippines to Thailand. And that was 30 years ago. I became a diplomat exactly 30 years ago. I was admitted into the Foreign Service of the Republic of the Philippines in 1995. So now it's 2025, and now here I am, ambassador of the Philippines to Thailand.
It's interesting that you mentioned that you dreamed of becoming a doctor, then a lawyer, and now a diplomat. These are very reputable occupations, especially for women as well. But did you initially think of becoming like a medical doctor, or like what kind of doctor did you dream of?
Oh, I wanted to become a neurosurgeon, the highest kind of doctor, the most difficult kind of doctor. Because, when you're young, you can dream anything. Dream is limitless. So for you young people, it's okay to aim high. And it's okay not to reach what you aimed high for initially. Because after all professions are noble. Whatever you become in the future, it's all right as long as you're able to contribute to nation building, to world peace, as long as you contribute to making this world a much better place when you first arrived. So it doesn't matter what profession you would eventually achieve, but again, it's you just have to aim high and then try to reach it. But along the way, you will know what you will eventually want.
And you have to set your mind to it as well.
Set your mind, correct.
What about you, Sri Lanka? What is it like for you as a female diplomat?
Thank you, and Sawadika Aibowan. And first of all, I would like to thank you, Thai PBS at the Stamford University, to invite me today for these wonderful sessions with leader ambassadors and leaders from Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Of course, my story is also the same like my colleagues, Ambassador Peru and Ambassador Philippines. I also dream, and not really like to be a diplomat, but I'm in professions like leadership, taking in future. In my childhood, I was thinking. So meantime, when I was in university, I got opportunity to learn language. I mean, being a diplomat is a very important learning language. So it will be easy for your job to know many languages, though we have to study different languages in different zone. So I was able to join Japanese language training program, and also especially in Hindi. So then I met different friends. So then then I was realized, okay, if I become a diplomat, my life will be more international. Likewise, now we are here. So actually, it's not easy task. Of course, we have to have graduate to be a graduate, and then we have very competitive exam, especially like Ambassador Tinta mentions that very state running. It's very difficult task. Let's say like more than 10,000 people apply for the, then they will sort out different stage of the examinations, like 250 out of that. For my experience, more than 11,000 were set for the exam. There were two parts. Then I was selected for the interview. So at that time, there were more than 250. I'm lucky enough to be out of shorted listed 17. I'm in the fourth in my batch. Likewise, it's very competitive until we get to know that we selected. We have a lot of, difficult tasks to achieve. So, of course, as a lady, we have to face different challenges during our to become this, like be ambassador, we have to go through different exams within the ministry, outside ministry, and a lot of committed responsibilities through our journey, starting from assistant director, deputy director, director, and director general, then become ambassador. So a lot of challenges, being a mother, being a wife, how we balancing our family life, and also how we go forward the day-to-day challenges. So I'm married, I have two daughters, very young, and I have to have some time for them also, my family. Right now I'm actually here alone, but still I want to find a time to talk to my family and take their care of their educations. So I think as professional life for us, very important, as well as I think the family life also should be very important for us. So as a diplomat, we have to think about how we manage both ways in a if you want to be a very successful professional diplomats, we have to think about it. I think all of you are also agree with this. Being our responsible life here as a diplomat.
Exactly. What about you, Katriya? What is your journey like before you became part of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs?
Yes, thank you very much. And first of all, I would like to thank Thai PBS and also Stamford University for having me. And I'm very grateful to be in front of so many young students, and also very grateful to be on stage with very distinguished, accomplished female ambassadors whom I have so much respect for. So for me, my journey was a bit odd. Actually, I began my studies in communication arts, actually. So I graduated from communication arts from university. I began working in a television production company. And then very shortly afterwards, I felt that this wasn't actually for me. You know, I'm kind of like still not sure what I should do. And then my friend asked me to accompany her to apply for the position of the diplomatic officers at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So of course I did, and I was successful in my application. I was admitted as a diplomatic officer. And I think my inspiration came when I went to further my studies. Of course, you know, having my first degree in communication arts, I felt, you know, I had to do something a bit more perhaps related to foreign affairs. I chose law, and I was lucky enough to got a scholarship in international law from the Foreign Ministry. I further my studies in international law, particularly on human rights and refugee law. And I think in my studies, I got more inspired, you know, and I felt that this is something that I would like to do, and I think that I could do something meaningful for the country on these issues. I came back to the ministry, and I was fortunate enough to be assigned as the Human Rights Desk Officer in the International Organizations Department, where I am now, 20 odd years later. But yes, so I started working as a Human Rights Desk Officer, and I think that even kind of like reaffirmed what I felt. I felt that I could do something meaningful, and that really inspired me. And I think that's the key. I think when you feel that you can contribute meaningfully, that comes your inspiration. So I will stop here. Thank you.
Right, and I think we have noticed some of the biggest challenges that you face as a female diplomat. Ambassador of Sri Lanka, you mentioned that one of the challenges is how you become a leader while also taking care of your children at the same time. So why do you think this is such a big challenge for you as a female diplomat?
Yes, as I mentioned, because a diplomat's life is not like, like we say that 8 hours professions. We have to act like 24 hours. Our mobile always ringing even midnight, because we have to attend different, we have to live in different time zone. And also we have to alert with our community here, in your respective host country. There will be any kind of emergency. Head office, Foreign Minister of Foreign Affairs need to connect with us. And our life, diplomats' life like 7/24 in the week, whole week. There is no, say that we can't postpone our duties. We have to act immediately. So it's very, very responsible, very, very committed, dedicated job, I must say. Because as a diplomat, if you are not dedicated, if you are not committed, you may not successful your life, and it will be a even problem for the entire system. So if you are not committed officer, it's very important. Even I know most of you are students. I now following undergraduate, postgraduate. If you are sit for the exam, you have to committed. You have to study hard. Likewise, diplomats has to have more. Responsibility, and you have to take care of it, and you have to deliver. So otherwise, it not be. You won't be a successful profession. So I think my colleagues also agreed for my opinion. So it is very challengeable, especially ladies, because I know that when I passed through my, when I was in Islamabad as Embassy High Commission of Sri Lanka. At that time, I have 2 children. They are like 2.5 and 5 years, my daughters. But at the same time, I had to go through my master's international relations. It's a mandatory requirement for my ministry for my next promotions. But I can't postpone. So I have to attend for the university. After office, I have to attend for university. If the delegations comes to the country, I can't go university. I have to fully attend it, but I have to cover up my course materials. So it's a very challengeable. So I have to balance my studies, my job, my family, and my professions likewise. So I think it's kind of very, very tough, as well as very interesting. I personally believe that being a diplomat is a very interesting job, but we need very committed, dedicated for your professions, especially being a diplomat, I think. Thank you.
The Ambassador of Philippines, I can see you nodding all along. So how much can you relate yourself to her story, since you have 3 children as well, right?
Yeah, I can relate very much with my colleague here. Yes, I have 3 children, and even if my children are now a bit older, it has always been a challenge from the time I was, when I was still single, and until now. So when I was still single, I was being assigned already, but I already had at that time, my boyfriend, who's now my husband. I was already trying to balance between life and work, because I was discussing it with him. If I have myself posted as early as then what will happen to my relationship, to my boyfriend. So what I did was to go on scholarship for 1 year, so that somehow eased the pressure of getting a foreign assignment. And I was away just 1 year. And then when I went back, that was when I married my now husband. And then even again, it became a problem when I was gonna be posted already, because I didn't know who would want an officer who's pregnant, who would have to go on maternity leave after a few months. But of course, eventually, I first had my first of 3 children, and that was when I had myself posted. And then while I was posted in New York, I had my second child, my only son, while I was there. And then when I went home, I saw how my 2 children at that time cried with their classmates, with the teachers, with the neighbors. So I had to tell myself again and discuss it again with my husband that we should not subject our children to this constant uprooting. So it was kind of difficult for a woman diplomat to do work-life balance, because at the same time, my husband also, who's a lawyer, he has his own career, but to be posted abroad would mean uprooting him. It was a good thing in New York, we have a very close curriculum with the US. We have the same system as the US. So him being a lawyer, all he had to do was take the bar in the US, and eventually he was able to practice being a lawyer in the US. But when he was already comfortable, then it was time for us to go home again. So that's the kind of family pressure I was facing. So I stayed in Manila for 12 straight years. I did not accept any foreign posting, but still I had to go to international meetings abroad. And so when I would tell my family, I would tell my children, okay, next week or the week after next, I have to go abroad for a few days of meetings. And then my son, my middle child, would just cry quietly. It was my youngest daughter who was more feisty and who was more open about her feelings. And she would tell me, Mama, why did you choose to become a diplomat and leave your family like this? And so, okay, perhaps she's telling the truth, but of course there's nothing I could do, so I just had to explain. And then finally, when I got posted here in Thailand, because eventually I had to accept a foreign posting. I cannot decline over 12 years already. It took 12 years before I accepted this, or before I made a bid for Thailand and two more. That's our system. We have to make a bid. So Thailand was my first choice, and 2 other countries. And then finally, when I got accepted here, I got posted here. Again, it was my youngest child, my daughter, who was again brave enough to question her mom. And then she said, because I cannot bring anymore my husband, spouses are not allowed to work here. My 2 older children were already in school, difficult to uproot them. So it was my youngest child who was still in grade school or middle school, who was easier to bring. But she was the one who again was feisty and brave enough to ask me, Mama, why did you choose to become a diplomat and break up our family like this? Because that was the first time my family would be separated. Again, what do you answer to that? She was telling the truth. But there's nothing I can do. It's the call of the job. It's the call of my duty to my people and to my country. But at the same time, I had to try to balance. So now, initially my daughter was here. She studied here for 3 years. But last year she decided that she didn't want to break up her high school. So she wanted to start high school in Manila, because if she stayed with me, she would be spending 2 years here and then 2 years in Manila for high school. She said she wanted all 4 years of high school in one country. So she decided to go back to Manila. So now I'm alone here. So how do I, again, balance work and life? So every night we have a family video conference. First to, talk about what we do, what we did for the day. And then we also pray. We are Catholic. So we pray as a family every night. But sometimes I'm not able to make that call because, as diplomats, we have to work and be attending the diplomatic functions even in the evenings. So Manila is 1 hour ahead of, Philippines is 1 hour ahead of Thailand. So by the time I sometimes get home, 10 o'clock, 11, they would already be in bed because they have to prepare early the following day. So that's the kind of adjustments we do.
That's a very tough one that you had to go through, your youngest daughter. She's pretty feisty. Yeah. What about you, Ambassador of Peru? Are you able to relate to any of this? Or what would be your biggest challenge for you?
Well, it's interesting, and I'm really glad that I have a different story, isn't it? Because I never married. I have no children, no husband. But of course, I totally agree with them that family ties are so, especially in Latin America, as you may imagine, like here, we are very close. And as I've told you, I come from a big family. So I've always missed my family, especially my parents, and I had to live abroad for years on. So that was certainly a big challenge. But maybe to share with you something, first, I think I've always, I have always thought and believed that both genders, female and men, we complement each other. And since I entered the diplomatic career, I've always, prioritized and collaboration with my male counterparts. But of course, I have felt also challenges, based on stereotypes, isn't it? And of course, sort of machismo, which is something that in Peru exists still a lot, is widespread. So probably my biggest challenge when it comes to my career, I think, relates to the style of leadership, I would say. By personality, again, I'm soft-spoken. I'm sort of, feminine and sweet. And there is this perception sometimes that if you are in a male-dominated career or profession, you have to become a bit more masculine, isn't it? Or you have to adopt some sort of masculine characteristic, like show yourself stronger, in a position of power, sort of maybe more demanding, more competitive. And that has never been my choice, simply because I've always wanted to, remain truthful to myself and my principles and my personality, isn't it? And it was not easy in my career to show my bosses, especially the ones who decide promotions in a career like mine, that my style of leadership was an effective one. They weren't there anyway. My direct bosses have usually, had a lot of higher, comments about my professionalism and my aptitude and my abilities. But in our diplomatic career, and I don't know if it happens also in yours, the promotion decisions is made by a very small group of ambassadors, like 5 of them, who get together in Peru once a year, and they decide the lives of the rest of us, without really knowing who is the one they are evaluating, because they haven't had the chance, to meet you directly and see your work. So I lost a lot, really a lot of promotions along my career. And I think I practiced yoga since I was 13 years old, again, thanks to my mentor. And I'm so happy about that, because it centered me. And I realized that regardless of the recognition that you could get, I really was in love with my career, and I love what I did. So in the end, I learned that regardless of the recognition, I really wanted to keep being a diplomat and doing the best I could to make a difference and help my country and, help my family as well. So it took me, 6 attempts to become an ambassador after, many more that I lost in the way. And it was, again, because, as I've told you, I never gave up. I always thought, regardless of the recognition, I just love what I do, and I really want to keep being the best professional I can every day. And I had the chance to meet at that moment, Chancellor of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Peru, who had also served, I was at that time the first Deputy Chief of Mission in our embassy in Washington, D.C. And I had been there for almost 4 years with a very tough, ambassador. I have to admit, that during your career, you might find people that you feel inspired by and people who shows things that you don't, agree with. And you learn, okay, I don't want to be that kind of leader, isn't it? So anyway, it gave me the chance to show him that my style of leadership, which is much more based on collaboration, empathy, kindness. I've always been, I think it's also part of my yoga sort of approach, that we are all human beings, together. I mean, part of one soul, common unity, body, mind, and spirit. And regardless of where we are also part of this wonderful planet and the universe. Wherever we are believers, which I am, which has also helped me a lot during my life and my career. I think I had the chance to explain to him, and he saw that this type of leadership is also very effective and productive. And I was able to, become an ambassador. So in the end, I think resilience, perseverance, being passionate about what you do, those are the things that, and of course, learning from your mistakes, because we all, we are no perfects at all, and we all make mistakes along, our life and our careers. And I think learning from them and taking challenges as opportunities, because they are always, I'm absolutely convinced that every challenge brings us the opportunity to become better human beings and to learn and grow. So I think in my particular case, those have been, the way I've been able to overcome things. Having your core, I think, with you, regardless where you are, is something that also helps very much.
Right. So one of the biggest challenges that you've been facing is the leadership styles, being a mother, balancing between work and life and family. What about stereotypes? Is this the case for you, Kun Katri? Yeah. What sort of stereotypes or gender bias that you've experienced as a diplomat throughout a decade in your career?
Yes, thank you very much, Kunnat. Actually, in my career, I have to say that I've been very, very fortunate. I haven't actually encountered any kind of stereotypes that has actually hindered my career as a diplomatic officer. So I'm very, very fortunate in this sense. But I think that definitely I would say in our society, in the Thai society, I think we still see stereotyping of the role of women within the society as the carer for the elderly within the family, within the society, or as the carer for children as well. So I think this is one stereotype that we do see. And also, I think we still encounter, other problems. I mean, we made a lot of progress in Thailand. We have the different laws in place. But I think we still see, of course, violence against women is still something that still happens and still need to be addressed. But I think the stereotype of the kind of like the women being the carer for the family, I think this is something that we see as mentioned by excellencies, ambassadors as well. And I have a family, but I don't have any children. And I think looking at my peers who have children, I cannot agree more. I think that being a diplomatic officer requires a lot of time and dedication, and I see my peers trying to juggle between raising a family, small children, and working, very hard. And some of them are doing so well career-wise as well. And I have so much respect for them because I think that it takes, a lot of energy and a lot of efforts, to strike the right balance between having a family and also having your career. And in the foreign ministry, we see facilities, coming up for women, but I don't think it's actually for women, like facilities like we have now, nursery room that parents, male or female, you can bring your small children with the carer, to the ministry so that you can continue working while you have your small children, also in the ministry as well. And I think this type of facilities is very important to enable, male and female parents to be able to continue with their work while also, raising a family. So I think that's also important. So I would stop there. Yes, thank you.
It makes me think of one question. How many of you have once been told that you should give up your career and spend most of your time as a mother and take care of your children? Just to give up your career. Hands up. What was your experience?
Okay, so I wasn't told directly that you should not be a mother or that you should stop being a diplomat and just become a mother. What happened to me was that I was still in my maternity leave. And before my maternity leave was up, I was pulled out because I was being given a higher position. Even if my rank still should not have merited that higher position. So I was sort of pleading with the decision makers, just to give me a bit of time because I said I just gave birth. I'm a nursing mom. My infant would need my attention. My motherly duties cannot stop so that I could take a higher position. But no, I still had to, my pleas were not sort of fell on deaf ears. So I was given that higher position. I still had to do my motherly duties. So on the very first day of my being, an equivalent of a director general of that crucial office. So I was given a lot of things to do. I was given a lot of meetings. But I was a nursing mom. And I was not, because I was yanked out of my maternity leave, I was not able to store enough milk for my daughter. So I said, I have to, have a me time to be able to do what I needed to do. But, I had this portable pump that when I asked my boss for just 10 minutes of personal time, and then because of in my haste, I plugged my machine, my 110-volt machine in a 220 plug. So suddenly my machine wasn't working. And now the problem was, how will I now feed my child who's waiting? So in my mind, I had a lot of permutations. Should I bring my child to work so that I could feed her while I was doing my work, or should I take a leave, which is of course not possible because I had a lot of work to do. I was even yanked out of my approved leave or my mandatory leave, maternity leave, because I was given more work. So so eventually, in my distraught, I had to call my boss. I said, "I'm sorry, I cannot attend the meeting anymore. I have a personal emergency." I didn't have to explain what my personal emergency was, and I just had to go home because I had to buy formula just to be able to feed my child. So yes, we have these kinds of real life challenges that we need to address. Being a mother does not stop my responsibilities just because I was given more work. No, I have to do both. If I'm given more work as a mother of a young family, then I also have to do my role as the mother of a young family. So it's just a matter of really doing what needs to be done, sometimes on a day-to-day basis. But somehow, you would know what to do when you're already there.
Now let's move on to this part. So why do you think there are not enough women as country ambassadors or diplomats?
Okay, let me explain about Sri Lanka Foreign Service right now. I'm very pleased to inform you that Sri Lanka is the first country in the world to produce first women Prime Minister, Madam Sirmao Bandaranaike, long time back. So again, now we have another Prime Minister, lady Prime Minister. And in even our foreign ministry, our permanent secretaries are women. Is very pleased to, say that. And our foreign service, we have almost 189 officers. Out of them, right now we have majority, two-thirds, around 120 women foreign service officers. But still there are things to be improved. We have 50 ambassadorial posts all over the world. Out of 50, we have only 16 lady ambassadors. So still male are dominating ambassadorial posts, but in the future, I think things will be there will be very challengeable for the ladies, because when they are going, as we discuss, promotions, sometimes they don't qualify for the next step because of family background, because of children. There are so many issues. But now I think things are more improving. Even recently we had our parliamentary elections. We had very less amount of parliamentarians. Like earlier it was around 10 out of 225 members of parliament. New government, we have 23 women parliamentarians. Things are very much positively increasing. But foreign service, I think because of the country, considering the current situations, most gentlemen are going for job purpose careers before, they are going for a higher studies. But likewise, women are now more in university, postgraduate and even postdoctorate. Ladies are improving. and there is no gender discriminations at all in Sri Lanka, but there are social impact sometimes happen around professionally. Like more tough job like engineering, mechanical jobs, ladies are not comfortable in Sri Lanka. But academic, we are very high professions, academic careers foreign, officers, including foreign ministry and other ministries. There are many lady secretaries available in Sri Lanka. They are doing very good job. Even internationally, Sri Lankan women are well recognized. So our, foreign ministry considerably increasing number of foreign women officers. Maybe we can have more hope in the future that we will have more professions, foreign diplomats, ambassadors, to take policy decisions, international, leadership for the international arena. I think it will be the future will be the good for the lady officers in our service. So,
Yep. And Ambassador Peru, your next question is, how does the ruling government, be it liberal or conservative, influence the decisions of having more or less women in diplomatic roles? But we might kindly ask you to keep your answers really short because we're about to run out of time.
Sure. Well, I will be brief. I think it's a key task, the one that government plays. And just to mention one example briefly, in the case of Peru, in 2017, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs created the first gender equality group. And we have also, of course, approved a national policy for equality. And we are sort of transversalizing the gender approach in all our institutions in the public sector. And of course, there is also a very good alliance with the private sector working to, promote the participation of women in all areas. Just because I know that we are running on time, just to mention, participation of women in Peru in the diplomatic service has always been, still very, very low, but more and more, especially, at the beginning of the career, the percentage is now almost the same. It's almost 50-50, 48 women, male are always a bit more. But in 2023, we had 60% women admitted at the diplomatic service in Peru for the first time in our history. So I think that really shows that change is happening, isn't it? And that we are also working very hard on making the recruitment process much more inclusive. Thank you.
Okay, and your next question, why do you think it's important to have more women in diplomatic roles?
Yes, I think I would say in my field, I work in the International Organizations Department, and I think so we work in relations to the UN, and I would like to actually to say something about a very specific part of women's diplomatic role, and that's in the peace building, in the peace and security field. And I think this is quite interesting because I think women, we bring, we have the certain skills or abilities to, to connect to people, to unite with people, or to be, or to make people more open, to dialogue on issues, and I think that's a very important skill. And I think it's well recognized within the United Nations as well. Some of you may have heard about the Women, Peace and Security Agenda. And actually this year marks the 25th anniversary of this very important UN Security Council resolution, Women, Peace and Security. So basically this agenda encourages the participation of women in diplomacy, but particularly in peace and security. So in terms of peace building, conflict prevention, conflict resolution, and reconstruction post-conflict, for instance. So I think this is something that in the area that women can contribute to. And just to give you some information about the practice of Thailand on this. For Thailand, actually, we have participated in the UN peacekeeping for more than 70 years. And to give you some figures, we now have, out of the 273 Thai military and police personnel, we have 28 female military and police personnel serving in contingents in the UN mission in South Sudan, or UNMISS. So we have 28 female working there. And also at the individual uniform personnel category, we have 8 female peacekeepers deployed in South Sudan in UNMISS, and also in the UNMOGIP, or the mission in India and Pakistan. We also have 1 women police officer and 1 women military officer serving at the UN headquarters in New York. So we're not reaching gender parity, but I think we are on the right track. And the government is very committed to try to increase the number of female personnel within the peace missions at the UN. And recently, there was the meeting, the United Nations Peacekeeping Ministerial in Berlin. And at that meeting, our Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Defense pledged to increase the number of women peacekeepers in UN missions at the individual uniform personnel category from approximately 20% to 30%. So we are seeing a lot of progress, and we are optimistic that if we continue with this trend, we will continue to make the situation better for women. And also don't forget that as I've mentioned, that women can and do bring certain specific abilities and skills to certain work within the United Nations and also in other areas as well. Thank you.
And even the female representation in peace building, politics, or even diplomacy is still really low, but we still see significant progress. So what would you like to do more to promote more women in peace building roles and diplomatic roles? And please kindly keep your answers really short because we're running out of time.
So I just would like to agree with the DDG Katalea. We women have something unique to bring to the table. We are known for being emotional. Sometimes being emotional is seen as a negative thing for women, but I think on the flip side of that, being emotional means also being more empathic, more compassionate. And being more compassionate, that's why we always go to our moms first, because it's the mother who has that quality of, as you said, bringing people together, making people more open. And I would like to believe, diplomats, I always say that it's the diplomats who are the first line of defense in order to make sure that the last line of defense wouldn't have to be deployed, and that last line of defense would be our soldiers. See? So we women bring something to the table that will contribute to peace building. And I also would like to boast a little that the Philippines, we have very recently first negotiated and signed one of the world's major peace deals that brought peace in southern Philippines. Before it was a troubled spot of the Philippines because we had Muslim secessionist group, but it was a woman who negotiated and signed that peace deal that established what we now call the autonomous region of Muslim Mindanao, or the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. And now the former warriors are now part of government. So they're now governing instead of being part of a conflict. So yes, I am very proud of that woman peace negotiator, and I think this is something that other countries could learn from.
And before we go on to our very last question, maybe let's turn to some Q&A. If you have any questions to any of the ambassadors here, you can raise your hand and one of our staff members will hand the mic to you.
Hi, my name is Sophia. I'm 16 years old, and I have a question for all of the women diplomats today. So, aspiring young women face a complex global landscape requiring diverse skills from multilingual abilities to negotiation and resilience. What core experiences should students prioritize to prepare effectively for a diplomatic career? And what personal qualities or mindsets do you believe are essential for young women to thrive in this field and contribute meaningfully to a global diplomacy?
Quite a complex question, but what comes to mind immediately is what I also heard from a world leader about enlightened leadership. He said there are 3 factors to an enlightened leadership, and that's wisdom, courage, and compassion. Wisdom, courage, and compassion. Wisdom is knowing how to get a situation from the status quo to a better position. So it's a status quo to a better position. You have to have wisdom. Number 2 is courage. You have to have the courage to act on that wisdom. Because if you do not act on that wisdom, then it remains a wisdom. It remains just a vision. So you have to have that courage to be able to act so that you can improve the situation. The third one, I think, is where women can really contribute. And again, what I just said about compassion, about the emotions of a woman. So compassion, number 1 and number 2, wisdom and courage would be very dangerous without compassion, because wisdom and courage can turn someone into a dictator if you do not have compassion. So that third ingredient should be there so that you would have an enlightened leadership instead of a dictatorship. So I think you should be guided by that. It's very broad. It is not apply only to diplomacy. I think it applies to anything in life. So you, where you are now as a student, you do not need to be a diplomat to exercise leadership. You can be a leader in your own little corner. You don't have to be where we are now because it'll take time. So you can practice enlightened leadership wherever you are, whatever corner you are contributing to.
Good afternoon. I am Grace. I am from International College from Stamford University. So thank you for sharing your experience, and I found your journey truly inspiring. So as a young person just beginning this path, I would like to ask, what advice would you give to youth who are just starting their journey in diplomacy?
I think the first thing, and I think we've already mentioned, you really have to have some aptitudes, I think, This career is a very demanding one, and it will require that you are a very adaptable human being. You really need to be able to, face different circumstances and get used to different cultures, people, to move, sort of after some time, to leave friends, leave relationships, and continue, isn't it? So I think it does require some special abilities. So aptitudes that sometimes cannot be necessarily developed, It a lot depends, I think, on personality and character as well. And I would say that something else is to feel that you really that you feel passionate about. I've mentioned the word passion because I think it's the key to success. And as Tinta mentioned, regardless of which career or which profession in the end you decide to follow, I think analyzing what are your strengths and making sure that what you are following is what you really want to do, what inspires you, what will make you, want to go every day with enthusiasm, without, losing hope or perseverance. Those are like the qualities and the evaluation you have to make if you want to follow a career, whatever, that one. So I think those would be my first two most important. And maybe another one, just to finish. This career is also a career by nature of service, of public service. So that would be the other key element that I would, advise. You have to be, again, you have to evaluate if you have the aptitudes to, follow the path. You have to be passionate about what diplomacy means and requires. And you have to be aware that this is a public service career. Glamour, as many people talk about glamour in diplomacy, to tell you the truth, is a very small part, especially when you're starting the career. It's so much hard working and resilience and dedication, and you've had all the sacrifices that it might require. So I think if you consider those things, you will be able to really see if that's the career that you want to follow, or maybe another one, where your strengths and your capabilities are better suited.
All right, Sawadee Khao. I was the Stamford alumni members. One quick question, not just the question, that would be like I was willing to have like the inspiration from your side. I was the psychologist for the communities who working for like the community health village in Thai, which means also more. In case of you have the chance to give them for the inspirations in order to work for the community and the society, would you please give them for the inspirations? Thank you.
Indeed, we are very happy to come and do that kind of social work. I think our lady ambassador, we have lady ambassadors group, 16 lady ambassadors. We are having kind of this kind of charity works. Right now, we are also participating in different charity work organized by the Community Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as well as, of course, anytime we can participate and we can assist, we can make them inspire, we can discuss their social problem. If we can help us through the third party, also we can get help. Don't hesitate to contact us. I think Ambassador Tinta is Lady Ambassador Group, more senior Lady Ambassador, so she will be, I think, focal point to contact. We also helping, and it's our pleasure to help community here. It's part of our job, I believe. And it's good people-to-people contacts we can improve. So we anytime, of course, as you're aware that we all are busy, but still we have time for our community assistance. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your insights today. But then I think there's one key takeaway is that people will always have something to say about what you're doing, whether it's your career, your family, your life, even the way you look or your choice of clothing. The thing is, that's just the noise. It's just noise. People would criticize you, people would judge you for what you're doing, people would say things that you should be doing something else rather than following your passion. But to every one of you here, if you believe in yourself, if you believe in your dreams, go for it. Set your mind to it. Believe yourself and find a great support system that will help you grow and thrive and reach your dreams. So thank you so much to all of you for being such an inspiration for all of us here today. And hopefully we'll get to talk to you more and learn from you after this seminar as well. Thank you so much for today.